everybody? This is Cody, aka DFS Prodigy, coming to you live to talk about Mike Rodriguez, the UFC fighter. Just hanging out with him, talking to him about his recent fight, stuff like that. How's it going, man?
It's been good. It's been really good. How you been?
Same old same, just hanging in there basically with all this
I hear
weather.
that.
It's crazy here. So, with the snow and everything here, and just basically just blasting it all around. So, how's the weather over there like with you?
Snowy, snowy.
Yeah.
It's not snowing at the moment, but it's really cold outside.
Yeah, it
Is
finally started melting here. So just talk to me about like basically what got you into going into MMA. Like how was it like your mentality going into it and stuff like that?
so the way I got into MMA, I guess you'd say just like some I was inspired by because of my. So what happened was I got into a fight in high school, and I knocked this kid out, and my teacher grabbed pulled me to the side. I was like, listen, he's like, man, you cold. He's like, listen, we're gonna have to. He's like, I want to introduce you to something, or whatever. He's like, you're suspended, but while you're suspended, I want you to look at something. And he
Why
gave
you're
me a bunch of Pride, these Pride DVDs. Yeah, I was suspended for like a week. Thank you. Um, he gave me these Pride DVDs, and I just popped them in and I watch them. I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, this is dope. I'm like, yo, how can I get involved in that? So after my suspension, I hit him up. I'm like, hey, listen, like, yo, how can I get involved with that? And he was like, oh, you like it? It's called, Pride, it's MMA, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, cool. And he was like, let me show you a gym. He took me to a gym. It's called Boston Muay Thai. It was around the corner from my house. I never knew it was there. And I walked there, and I was like, oh, this is dope. And then the snowball effect just happened. Started there.
right. So then you made your jump to Dana White's Contender Series. So talk to me about how differently that is, like with no music, just due to yourself. Like how different is Dana White Contender Series compared to making like another UFC debut? Like I know from what I've heard from everybody else, like you're inside your head. Like it's crazy going into walking to that ring just silent. You know what I mean?
It definitely is very eerie. It's like very weird, whatever.
Yeah.
You get in there, you go in there, and when I did it, I was season one. It was like
Yeah.
super quiet, like
Like
super
brand
quiet.
brand new. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was the main event for that fight.
Yeah.
I came out last, and it was, man, like nobody was there. Everybody was super quiet, and Joe Lozon, who my coach, he was like, listen, he's like the fight gym. He's like he's like the tough gym is really different. It's really quiet. Like when you get in there, you ain't gonna hear anything. So I was like, all right, all right. I go out there and I'm like, this ain't nothing. This is fine. And like, I'm like, this is great. Like there's no music. You don't hear nobody. And I don't know. I felt fine going out there. But it's very different compared to like when you do your UFC debut
Yeah.
where it's bananas. Like, it's crazy. So it is cool.
So well, like how different is it though from like the UFC debut?
Night and day difference.
Really?
Yeah, especially depends on the card you start. Well, it's unfortunate that some of the guys that, got into the UFC now aren't going to experience like the full gist of it when you go, like when you got to fly into another city, sleep at the hotel, do all of that type of stuff. Like they don't have to worry about that much because they're just going straight to Vegas and that's it, or in some cases Abu Dhabi. But man, it's a different energy fight week because there's so much things you got to worry about. You got fans coming up to you asking you to sign things all the time, so you got to be a good role model in that regards. You got to do a bunch of media stuff. Like it's like a night and day difference. So, but yeah, the Contender Series fight week and the UFC fight week was like insane. Like they were just complete different beasts. But the UFC fight is definitely something that a lot of these kids aren't going to experience, unfortunately, right now due to
Right.
COVID.
So talk to me about like what with the Ed Herman fight. Talk to me like what was going through your head with that fight in the middle of it, because I know that's a big fight that everybody talks about is the low
Um,
blow and stuff like that. Yeah.
there was nothing I could do, so I just took it as like it being a. It just was. I'm just like, there's nothing I can do about it. I can't control it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You all right? Oh, you started glitching there.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're
So
like stuttering for me. Sorry.
no, you're good, bro.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this last fight. Like, how would you be training different going into this past fight on the February 6th fight?
Well, I had took some time off, had to mentally recruit, and then just get right back on the bike and keep going. You know, can't really do nothing about it. It already happened. It's the past.
Right. So do you view yourself more as like a knockout fighter or a submitted fighter, like submission fighter? What do you think your training style is more like?
Knockout artist for sure.
Knockout, yeah, right,
Yeah.
for sure. So, like my last question is like, how did UFC like shape your life? Like, who was your mentor growing up in the UFC, and like, how did it shape your life as a whole?
My main mentor going into the UFC. You saying?
Yeah, going into it, yeah,
My mentor around here. It's always been Joe Lozon, and
yeah,
now he's my coach.
right,
He was the only one. Granted, like I don't want to take anything from the other fighters because like Kenny Florian made a name for himself,
yeah,
and a couple other guys too. But Joe is just the only one who I had like a personal connection with, and I always just idolized him. I'm like, man, he's crushing it. He's doing his thing. So and I don't know. I always just I took the whole sport in like how he does and like with his views, and he's just a man. He's been through it all, so he knows it
right,
all, huh?
right. Yeah, I mean, he's
Yeah,
a living
he's
legend.
a
I
legend,
mean,
right?
so
So yeah,
actually, so actually, my last question is: do you have any upcoming fights, plans, next fight? What do you plan on doing next?
nah, nothing right now. Just growing,
Just
just
growing.
growing. Yep, learn my lesson, taking the education I got from my last lesson, and just grow. That's all you can do.
Yeah, right. Thank you so much for coming on, my man. It was nice talking to you.
No problem, man.
Have a good one.
You too.